I've spent nearly 2 weeks using Google's Pixel 11 Pro, and I just don't think that you should buy it yet. There's so many things that I like about this phone, and there's also some things that I didn't love so much, so let's talk about it. So this right here is the Pixel 11 Pro in this beautiful pastel pink canyon color, and it looks great in person, and hopefully it reflects on video. I love the gold accents on the sides and the G logo on the back. It's just a really nice looking phone. So the Pixel 11 Pro is of course rocking the new Google Tensor G6 processor, which is about 20% more power efficient and roughly about 20 to 25% faster overall compared to last year's G5 chip. Now, is this the fastest chip in terms of raw power? No, but we'll talk more about my experience with this in just a little bit. Now, as far as the rest of the phone goes, the camera visor looks a lot sleeker now with a continuous glass back, and we of course can't forget about that new RGB flash module called Highlight. And it's essentially a way for you to see your favorite contacts calling you or when you're talking to Gemini. Now, I personally don't think it's that useful because I barely have my phone facing down, but also I'm waiting for Google to add third-party app support so we can relive having that pulse notification light from, the old Google Nexus days. It would be so sick to have a blue light flashing for Twitter, yellow for Instagram, green for emails, and so forth. Hey, Future Mark here. As we were editing this video, someone literally just made an app that doesn't require root that'll let you use Highlight for any app, and you can customize it to whatever color and effect that you want. I'll be sure to link this app down below in case you guys are interested. Now, the triple camera setup is alive and thriving, and new this year is the 5x telephoto camera that got a bump in sensor size. It's still a 48 megapixel camera with an f2.8 aperture and now a 1/1.95 inch sensor. This makes the telephoto camera about 71% larger and lets in about 30% more light, which is awesome for everyday scenarios. The main and ultra wide camera remains unchanged. The ultra wide did get a slight bump in sensor size, maybe 2 to 3% larger compared to Pixel 10 Pro, so it's not that big of a change. I do love that all the cameras are high megapixels, so the telephoto, the ultra wide are at 48 megapixels, and the main camera is at 50 megapixels. In terms of the screen, it's still a 6.3 inch display. It's OLED, it gets really bright, which now goes up to 3600 nits peak, and yeah, it's a really nice looking display. It's got LTPO, so you can go as low as 1 Hertz all the way up to 120 Hertz, which is going to save you some battery. And speaking of battery, we're now getting 30 milliamp hours less than last year's Pixel 10 Pro. And I'm not sure why we're going back, but I think it's time for Google to look into silicon carbon batteries and give us 5 to 6,000 milliamp hour batteries and faster charging. We're still capped at 30 watts for the smaller Pro. Unfortunately, I wish the regular Pro also got the faster 45 watt charging just like the bigger Pro XL. So maybe next year. Okay, so let's talk about my experience with the Pixel 11 Pro. First things first, I feel like the Pixel 11 Pro is the best smartphone that you can hold in your hand. It feels way better than Samsung's S26 Ultra and the iPhone 17 Pro, and I don't know what it is, but it just feels great in the hand. Now, I know I said in my Pixel 11 video that I love the matte side rails and glossy back on the base Pixel, but the shiny gold rails and matte back is slowly growing on me. I feel like we also got to give props to the design and material team at Google because the Pixel 11 Pro just looks so gorgeous no matter which color you go with. If I didn't get this canyon color, I would have definitely went with the olive color, which I have here for my Pixel Fold, and this color is just so beautiful. And like I mentioned earlier, Google did add Highlight to the back of the Pro phones. And after 2 weeks of using this phone, not once did I notice it was there. And even when I used Gemini, my phone was always facing screen up, so I never really got to see the new Highlight feature. And as far as software goes, it's a Pixel phone. Pixel UI is pretty much what makes Google Pixel so different from other OEMs. It's one of the most fluid software that I've used to date, and while it isn't perfect, it's definitely a lot easier to transition from iOS to Android using a Pixel device because of how simple everything is and how simple everything looks. Now, I did mention in my Pixel 11 video, but the one thing that Google still won't allow you to do with their stock Pixel launcher is to apply custom icon packs, which really irks me. Every time I set up an an Android phone, I always want to use custom icon packs from the Google Play Store. Samsung makes it super easy now. Oppo and Oxygen OS makes it super easy. Xiaomi, not so much, and Google with their Pixel launcher still won't allow you to use custom icon packs. So I ended up using Lawnchair, which is the closest thing that you'll get to the stock Pixel launcher experience, but you can apply third-party icon packs that you can download from the Google Play Store. And this is definitely the way to go if you want to use, a custom icon pack for your Pixel. Now, believe it or not, I've also got iMessage working on my Pixel now, and sadly, I can't share how I did it. But yeah, I've genuinely just been using this Pixel day in and day out, answering emails, texts, go on social, post photos on Instagram or Twitter. And I think Android's getting really close to iOS when it comes to feature parity. But where Android still falls behind iOS is using the in-app camera in apps like Instagram or TikTok. You can definitely tell there's a quality difference when recording inside the Instagram or TikTok app versus shooting with the native camera app first and then uploading it afterwards. Now, I'm not sure if we'll ever get close to what iPhones can do using social media apps, but I'd love to be wrong here. And then when it comes to performance, I feel like day to day, it's all pretty smooth. Benchmarks are gonna show that, it's as fast as a phone from 3 to 4 years ago, but using it for everyday work or doom scrolling, it's totally fine. Battery's also pretty good, averaging about 7 to 7.5 hours every single day. And with a 30-watt wired charging, it can get me from 20% to 90% in about 40-ish minutes, which isn't great. I wish we got the same 45-watt wired charging from the Pro XL. And yeah, battery life after 2 weeks isn't terrible. It's really a month later or 6 months later is when we'll really know what battery life will really be like on this phone. Now, the only thing that might be a huge deal breaker for a lot of people is the ability to game on here. A ton of games aren't really tensor friendly, so some games will limit the game's performance, and some games would just straight up crash, or you'll get ping texture glitches, which makes the game totally unplayable. Like, look at this. Seeing how badly unoptimized native Android games played on these Pixel 11 devices made me not want to even bother with emulators, which if you guys have been watching the past few videos, I've collected quite a few handhelds, and we all know that Snapdragon is king when it comes to gaming and emulation, at least for Android devices. Now, I still don't know why Google hasn't switched over to Snapdragon chips on these new Pixel devices, but Google Tensor is just not it. If you want the Pixel device to be the de facto flagship phone for Android, it's gotta at least compete with the top dogs. And right now, I'm not sure if that's the case here. Performance, while it isn't super terrible, it could definitely be better, especially for gaming, but how are the cameras? It is a Pixel device after all, so what's actually new with the Pixel's camera system? So first things first, Google Tensor G6 has a new updated ISP that I personally think gives the photos that you capture with these new Pixel phones, it gives it a less processed look. You get 4 different looks for the default style, and I personally love the natural processing here. It's not overly saturated and almost gives you that iPhone look where it's not too contrasty. But what is new and apparently exclusive to the Pixel 11 is camera looks. Camera looks isn't your typical filter system that gets baked into the photos that you shoot. You can't even add these looks after the fact. What's happening with the camera looks is basically each looks features a different way it processes the photos. Some would only take a single frame and process the photo versus the default camera would take 9 to 15 frames and analyze those frames to make a single HDR photo. Now, a lot of these photos that you've been seeing are shot using the classic or editorial looks. They are my go-to profiles for these new Pixel phones, and I personally love how the colors look from these looks. Now, one thing you guys do have to get used to with these camera looks is that you might notice that some shots might be a bit overexposed, or it's a bit harder to find that balance of highlights clipping or shadows looking a little too crushed. So as an example that I showed off in my Pixel 11 video is that even if you tap to focus on a bright part of the frame, it's not going to lower your exposure like if you had these camera looks disabled. No matter which look you're using, exposure seems to be a pretty big issue here, where the photos are going to look overexposed if there's something really bright in the frame. Now, this might be a bug or something, but I feel like each camera looks should have a dedicated exposure button so that we can, set certain looks to shoot underexposed and some to shoot a little bit overexposed. Because right now, after every exit of the camera app, exposure won't stick and you'll have to adjust exposure all over again. So having a setting for individual camera looks might be something Google should add in a future update. And then when it comes to video quality, I think stabilization is great on all 3 lenses, and I love that all 3 lenses can shoot up to 4K 60 in the native camera app, but we're still missing log videos. Log video on smartphone cameras have been around for so long, and Google still doesn't have this feature, which sucks. I'm not saying that video quality is terrible on the Pixel 11 Pro, I just kind of wish it had the option of shooting log. And so with that being said, if I ever need to shoot something more professional looking, I'd rather use my Vivo X300 Ultra or my iPhone 17 Pro just to shoot videos on the go, because video quality on those two phones look way better than the Pixel 11 Pro. And yeah, that's pretty much the Pixel 11 Pro in a nutshell. I think the Pixel 11 Pro is a great device, but really falls short when it comes to performance. Pixel UI is good, navigating around the OS is really smooth, doom scrolling or watching videos is great, taking photos is better than ever thanks to magic capture and camera looks, but man, Tensor G6 in my opinion is such a huge letdown. I think Google just really needs to start looking into switching to Snapdragon for next year's Pixel devices. For a retail price of $1,100, it's a really tough sell. Now, yeah, you will see a ton of sales or trade-in deals right now, and honestly, if you can get the Pixel 11 Pro for like $350, then yeah, that's an absolute steal. But if all you care about is raw performance, the Pixel 11 Pro just simply isn't the phone for you. You should probably stick to Samsung's S26 Ultra or wait another month and get the upcoming iPhone 18 Pro, which will for sure be a lot faster than this phone, and there's going to be a ton of games heavily optimized for that phone and will have just as good cameras, if not better video capabilities in this phone. So yeah, Pixel 11 Pro, it's a great phone if the price is right, and if you need raw power, look elsewhere. Anyways, that's been it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.